Sports on Tap is brought to you by the Joe Wright Group with Dobie Real Estate, Jason Stiltner at Flagstar Bank, Time Out with Steven Scott, presented by Baldman Entertainment.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
We are tonight's entertainment.
We're here to fuck shit up.
Sports the way it should be. Nothing sugar-coated, with loaded with all the information you wanted. From legends to prospects, nothing's off limits. Chris and Joe be taking on all topics with no stopping. They keep it rolling and going and ball hopping at a rate that's hard stopping. With news that's jaw dropping, they're getting it in. Sports Center competition, man, they in it to win. This ain't a fluke, from Carolina to Duke, from MSU to Michigan. You'll know if you listening and you ain't, you missing it. All the excitement, they shock like a thundercloud and ride with lightning. Get it together, you know ain't nobody better. Bring heat than cold weather. You better put on a sweater, you better just let it go when all come and attack. Sit back, relax, let's tell them it's on tap.
We'll do it live. Fuck it.
Hello, motherfucker.
Welcome to this week's edition of Sports on Tap. I'm Chris Scott, alongside Joe Waddell, and welcome back, Mr. Frank Gigotta.
Thank you.
Welcome back, buddy.
Good to have you back.
Thank you.
Glad to have you.
Glad to be back.
Yeah.
Long couple weeks, but
I was pretty excited. I mean, I saw the text earlier, but then when I walked in, I was like, yes, he's here.
He's here.
He's here.
I am here.
It's good to have you back, buddy.
I appreciate that, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we obviously took the week off last week. It's kind of the dead period in sports, so
Yeah,
it's just like, all right, man.
it's.
I mean, we obviously could have put a show together if we truly wanted to, but we all have lives and stuff like that. So,
listen. This time of year, there's not a bunch to talk about,
There isn't.
right? So I mean, we could have put together a show.
Yeah.
But Frank was still going to miss last week.
Yep.
We had talked about it. We're like, all right, why don't we just put off the show?
Right.
And we'll come back this week with Frank back, and we'll just get back into it. And we talked about it again. We're going to take next week off as well.
Yeah.
With the 4th of July on that Monday, we've got families and lives, and we're going to take next Monday off.
Yeah.
Not a lot's going to happen between now and then. So
at least not that we know of, anyway.
not that we know of, but other than the Deshaun Watson stuff might happen between now and then, but
might.
we can always talk about that at the week
Right,
later.
I was going to say, best case scenario, Deshaun suspended for a year, and the Tigers only lose 5 of 7 games.
Yeah. So I mean, like, we can talk about that the next week we come back.
Right.
Yes. So, with that being said, we'll kind of piggyback off what we talked about last week a little bit. We talked a little bit about the Stanley Cup final, and it ended on would that end Sunday night? I believe?
Yes.
Yes.
Sunday night. Yeah.
Yep.
And overall, I thought it was a good series. Joey, you called it the Avs in 6, and good call on that.
Thank you. Thank you. So did Scott from Timeout.
Yeah. So good call on that to both you guys.
I was questioning, though, because we were talking about before. I had the
Yeah.
Avs as well, but Lightning were looking real strong after a couple of those games. And they won those back-to-back games. I went, this might not be as much of a sure thing as I thought it was going to be.
There was some questionable officiating in the game, but in the games, in the series,
In the playoffs.
in the playoffs,
In the season
But
of the NHL.
I think you saw it.
In sports.
Right.
in sports.
I think he saw it not only through that series, but even especially in Game 6 when I think I think all the hockey that Tampa Bay has played in the past 3 years, I think it finally caught up to him.
Is all
Yeah,
it was, in my opinion.
I would agree with that.
Like you saw, especially in that third period of Game 6, they had no legs. You could see Colorado was just skating circles around them, and when you go up against a team like Colorado that is fast, they can play physical. They can play kind of any game you want. When you have speed, you can play kind of any game that needs to be played. And you kind of saw that, especially late in Game 6, and then Nikita Kucherov being a psychopath and like throwing his gloves at the trainer, like okay,
I
dude.
still don't understand what that was all about. Like,
they had
I know what you had sent me, and I know
Yeah.
the reason you explained, but why he lost is fucking,
Because he didn't have a stick ready for him. Like, really, dude? That's why you're going to do that?
like you're hurt. I know you're a little bit over emotional right now, but holy shit, dude.
I saw that. I'm like, what is your problem, man? Like, chill out, dude.
Especially from him. He's normally a guy who's pretty composed.
Right. He's got a bit of a mean streak, but still, that was completely uncalled for. And more to the series, especially, like I just said, I think Tampa just finally had all the hockey they've played over the past 3 years finally catch up to him. Andre Vasilevsky, he was not all world in this series.
No, he wasn't.
He wasn't.
He wasn't in the playoffs. He had solid series.
Against Florida, I thought he was, and certain games against the Leafs, I thought he was. The couple against the Rangers, he was. But this series, he looked more than human in this series.
He looked
less
very
human.
he looked
Sorry.
very human in the series.
He did,
And I don't.
and that was my X factor. That's why I picked Tampa to win.
Yeah, I don't think one series should diminish
It does. Not for
his
me.
name.
No.
We talked about it before the series even started. I think he's earned the right to have his name up there with some of the great
no
ones
doubt.
that
Yeah,
have
no doubt.
that have played the game. And one bad series can happen.
It does.
And goaltending is, like you guys know, you can get streaky. You can get really
Mm-hmm.
hot, but you can also get really cold.
Yeah.
And even the greats
Yeah.
have gone through cold streaks that have been cold.
Yeah.
When you go 3 straight years, you play almost 320 games combined.
It's a lot of hockey.
Yeah, that's a big ask of a guy
And
to sit there and keep
That's a big
blocking
ass.
shots.
And a lot of
big
that,
ass.
and a lot of that team they've gone through it.
Yeah,
all 3 years.
Yeah, that
so,
team's remained intact for the most part.
So to get to where they got to and come within 2 wins of that would have been a complete dynasty, 100%. Still pretty impressive, but you saw it. It's just I think the better team did win.
Yeah.
And congratulations to Colorado. I know fans in Detroit don't want to hear about that, but
But they should want to hear about it. You know why?
are you going to tell me?
I know this. I
So
know
they-
the fact he's about to tell us. And dude, in all honesty, it makes me want to put money on
Oh,
It does.
because like every year the Avalanche win, the Red Wings win the next year.
Yeah.
They win the next
so
year.
the Avalanche have now won 3 Stanley Cups. The first 2 they won. You know who won them the year after?
Yeah,
the Red Wings.
Which that streak's gonna end.
I mean,
this
it
year.
doesn't.
It's science.
I mean, I know it probably is, but I'm just saying. Listen, it's played out that way. It's played out that way. I'm just saying.
Knee-jerk reaction tells you it is nothing more than a fact. The Wings will win the Stanley Cup next year. I put that up there with Riley Green being the greatest baseball player of all time.
Yeah.
We're all
So,
talking about it right now. Let's just keep going with it.
The Avalanche won in '96.
Yeah.
And who won it in '97? The Wings. The Avalanche won it in 2001. Who won it in 2002? The Wings. So I'm just saying.
But can the Wings buy themselves the next cup?
No.
No. I think
But
that's
they
where
didn't.
things
They
are
didn't
gonna
buy
be different.
97s either.
That's true.
Nah.
Not 97, 98. 97, 98 they didn't buy. You can claim that for
2002 they 1,000%.
yeah, absolutely. But I mean,
Yeah. But I'm glad that you kind of brought that up because it kind of leads me into the documentary, the Red Wings Avalanche documentary. I don't know if you guys had a chance to watch it. I'm sure it's on ESPN Plus or ESPN. You can watch it anytime you want on streaming or whatever.
all the feels.
Like I said, at that point in time during the beginning, especially the beginning of that rivalry, I was still a Red Wings fan. So to me, it did bring back a lot of memories, a lot of great memories, a lot of shitty memories.
All the feels.
Yeah, it was like
I was crying 20 minutes in.
It was-
as soon as Vladdy stuff started. I
it
was
was-
in tears.
Well, I mean, and the Vladdy stuff, it kind of ended on the Vladdy stuff, which was depressing.
Yeah.
You know, but when I say all the feels, man, like it got me excited. Like I watched this yesterday actually, and I'm still a little run down, got a cold. I was not feeling very good yesterday. I was laying on the couch watching it, and it got me to sit up and on the edge of my seat, and it brought me back, and I got excited, I got pumped up, I got fired up. And then I got a little bit sad and then really happy, and I'm talking all the fucking feels, man. It was really, really good in my mind.
Yeah.
And I know we're gonna get some more into this, but I think I rested it really, really good.
I said I rested it as good, not great. But a lot of those moments that were shown in the documentary, it brought you back to you knew exactly what you were doing watching that. Like obviously the fight on the March 26th, 97. I knew exactly where I was at that moment in time when that happened. Like I knew where I was when the hit on Draper took place. I knew where I was when the car accident to Konstantinov happened. Like it brought you back to that moment in time, and that's what I thought was really cool about it. What I didn't like so much about it is I thought it focused way too much on Lemieux and McCarty.
It did.
I know that was like the apex of the rivalry or whatever, and that's all well and good.
That was like the central theme of it, and they chose their 25th anniversary meetup to kind of
which I think it's cool to do it around
centered around it.
Right.
And we talked about this too. It was definitely told from the Wings perspective.
Oh, absolutely it was.
Even though I was really, as a Wings fan, I was really glad they gave Lemieux the platform to tell his side of the story and to talk as much as they let him.
That's what I wanted.
He talked a lot about the situation, which is what I wanted to hear.
And he was honest about it.
I've heard the Wings point of view of it. I've heard their point of view over the years. I was really glad that we got to hear from a lot of the Avalanche players, even though it was still from the Wings perspective.
Right.
We got to hear from a lot of the Avalanche players, including Lemieux, quite a bit, and I was really happy about that.
The other thing that I was really happy they addressed is the fact that him and Shanny were boys.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a fact that got talked about all that often.
Nobody knew.
Like,
He
knew they played together in Jersey.
He named his kid.
Right. Like, I didn't
After
know
Brendan
it went that
Shanahan.
far. So
Yeah.
it's like, it's funny to see how he tied into the whole thing because he just kind of had to adopt the rivalry.
Seeing it brought me back to my favorite player in hockey of all time, which is Brendan Shanahan. And just seeing that, getting to hear him talk about it now that he's grown, and all the guys, now that they're older and they get to talk about it, but him being my favorite player, getting to hear him talk about how he came into it, and the rivalry was already started, and he kind of had to develop that hatred, and then Lemieux kind of helped him develop that hatred, even though they were friends. Lemieux told him, "You haven't won shit.
You're a loser.
You're a loser. You haven't won anything." and that pissed off Shanahan, even though they were friends. He's like, that just showed on the ice we weren't friends.
It's different on the ice, man.
And that got him pissed off. And then my favorite point of any hockey game I've ever watched is the moment where Shanahan clotheslines.
Oh
Bob.
yeah, it's great.
That to me,
Shanahan's like, he's like, oh shit, he's gonna jump.
I will never watch that moment of hockey without getting goosebumps and chills because to me that just gets me fired up. Like that's when the Wings became the true team, and that's when they turned it around. Was as soon as McCarty cold-cocked Lemieux, and Shanahan turned around and saw Waugh coming and clothesline him. Like, that was it. They became that team that then eventually went on to win the Stanley Cup. Yeah. That's what united them.
But the
That's
thing
what
about
did
that
it.
game, which a lot of people it's kind of like the '80 Olympic team, like when they beat the Soviets.
They had to go
people
into
think that was the gold medal game. No. Like, after all that shit happened that night,
They'd have finished the game.
They had to win the game,
Which
in
they did.
overtime.
In
Darren
overtime.
McCarty won it in
And Darren McCarty
overtime.
won it in overtime.
Somehow didn't get thrown out of the game, which
Nobody
I'm,
did.
I'm grateful they talked about it in the documentary because so many of those guys should have been thrown out of that game.
Dennis says, my favorite too, miss the Irish jig. Yes, Dennis, I do. I absolutely miss that. 1,000% miss that.
That was, I think, and I said it that from that moment on, when that night happened, I was like, they won the Stanley Cup tonight. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They 100% won the Stanley Cup that night.
That's exactly. And in watching it, you kind of saw it when it happened,
Yep.
but definitely looking back on it, you look back and you go, that's the moment.
Yeah.
That was the switch.
They had to beat them.
That was the switch. That was what happened.
Because if they had lost that game,
If
or
they'd
even
have lost
tied that game,
oh,
If that game goes any other way than the way it ended.
I don't know if they win the Stanley Cup that year.
but the way that whole game went down, everything that happened, you're right. They still had to win that game to really cement that standing there.
The other thing that I was glad they touched on, because I had totally forgotten about it, was Kozlov.
Oh, when he slammed Foot's face
When
into
he
the glass.
slammed Foot's face into the glass.
That was awesome.
Because the whole time, for the last 25 years, really, when I remember that rivalry, it started with the hit.
Start with Draper, yeah.
But it was Kozlov did that before.
Yep.
But somehow, Slava Kozlov and all 130 pounds of him soaking ass wet took Adam Foote's face and bashed it.
But see, this is where I kind of have an issue with the documentary. I wish they had gotten more players into the documentary to tell their side. Like, I wish they had Kozlov to answer for that. Like, what happened there. Like, even the brawl in '98. Like, how do you not have Osgood in that documentary?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't even touch on. I mean, they showed the brawl from '98,
they
but they
barely
didn't
touched
talk
on it.
about
You
it.
know, I love when they showed the brawl from '98 and
Osgood got his ass kicked.
he really did, and Wah goes, Osgood didn't deserve that.
He's like, why? But
There was-
Pat Roy's like, now he's like, why am I fighting?
Yeah, dude.
Because even as a guy who hates Osgood,
Right.
in that moment, I looked, I was like, nah, he really didn't. He didn't deserve that at all.
like, but I love the fact, like as a Wings fan, I grew up hating Patrick Waugh.
yeah.
Like over the years, but then I respected him as a player. He was one of the greatest goaltenders, if not the greatest, to play the game. But like getting to hear his perspective on it, like I grew to kind of like the guy in the documentary
I think
because
he's still an asshole.
I mean,
Yeah, from all
He's a
accounts,
fucking
he sounds
asshole.
like a fucking asshole.
but in the documentary, he actually came across as not being an asshole.
and that's what I was cool
And
with.
that's what I was-
Everybody came across being really cool for the most, with
Yeah, it
the
was-
exception of the one dude from Colorado who's like, yeah, no, the Wings were fucking pricks.
Yeah.
He was the athletic trainer or some shit like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Some
like
guy who had no business shooting.
Patrick
his
Waugh
mouth
was
off.
Patrick Waugh was like, man, I don't even know what I was doing. Why
am I fighting?
Why am I fighting? Oscar didn't deserve that.
I'll put it to you this way. That guy was third from the bottom on the list of people who should be trying to pick a fight on that documentary. The only people worse than him, and it's probably my favorite point from the entire thing, is the fact that the Avs GM and Wojo got into it at one point.
you know my feelings on Woj.
Yep.
I can't stand that fat fuck.
Yeah.
I hate that guy.
See, I like him.
I love Woj.
I
I don't take him seriously.
Well, you can't. So he's got the on-air persona.
Yeah.
He's got what he writes. But actually, I've gotten to know the guy personally. I like the guy. I think Wojo is a really good dude. I
His
understand.
dedication is no more in question.
I
If you are willing to fight for that team,
I understand why people don't like him based on his radio stuff and things
I met
like
him walking into Michigan Stadium years ago.
that. Okay.
And tried to have he was a fucking asshole to me. It's like, dude,
Really?
Yeah,
Wow. That surprises me.
yeah. It's like, all right, dude. Like, from this day forward, I fucking can't stand you. So
Dennis says, same with Lemieux. Public enemy number one, but met him a couple times, and he was awesome to meet. Plus, he is Sider's agent, so we have to keep Claude happy.
Oh, fuck.
Fair.
I did not know that.
I mean, I didn't know that either, truthfully. So that's
Mo, we got to have a talk, buddy.
thanks, Dennis. Thanks for the info there.
The other while we're shouting out random facts about Mo Sider, you know why he ended up with the number 53?
I saw this.
I saw this randomly
This
the
is
other
great.
day.
This is like totally random, but it's great.
He watched the movie Herbie the day before the draft.
Literally.
Really?
That's
Yep.
it. Yeah.
So he just watched it, and they were like, "What number?" He's like, 53.
All right.
That's fantastic.
So, getting back to the documentary and like just some other points of like emphasis, I don't like that they barely touched on '98 like they did. They
Yeah.
saw the Wings win the cup.
Well,
and
they
whatnot.
kind of
the Vladdy
ended
stuff. Yeah,
They ended it like
But
97 and
this-
barely showed 98.
right,
Was
but
it?
this rivalry went to 2002.
Yeah.
You know, like the
You could argue it even went past it,
well,
but
Yeah.
but mainly till
meaningful
2000
hockey,
till
until 2002.
So when I say that, it's like, well, are they going to do another installment of this? Which I think they should.
I agree with that.
Because you got to, I think you still got to cover the rest of the rivalry. You can't just have it end at like 98. You know.
No, I agree with that. It was very disappointing the way it ended because it ended on like a down note.
It kind
It
of
did.
It ended on
And
a
it
down-
was a
well,
pointless one.
It ended on Vladdy, and that's really depressing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's depressing no matter what. But you know, I have a sister who was in a car accident, very similar, and so it was very kind of a depressing down note, and just to end the documentary on that just didn't seem right to me.
I agree with you, and especially when there's more of a story to tell.
There's so much more of a story to tell.
Yeah.
To end it on that note seemed like it was just, well, we don't have enough time, so we're just going to stop it here.
right.
I thought they handled the Vladdy stuff fairly well.
I would agree.
I really didn't need, especially being such a huge fan of the guy when I was younger,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't need to know exactly how it went down with him in the car and all the details of exactly.
you didn't know?
I didn't know any of that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I mean, a
So-
lot of that stuff I already
Yeah.
knew.
So
It was just rehashing
Oh,
it,
yeah.
Right.
which bringing it back was like,
Yeah,
man.
right, and hearing it for what I believe is the first time,
Right.
at least first time recalling it, I was just like, I don't need all of this. But Chris and I were talking about it right before you got here. I figured it wasn't going to be a pointless segment, and I do call it pointless because there really wasn't a point to it.
Right.
I was expecting them to do something for Vladdy, to put his foundation information on there, to put the GoFundMe, to put anything, because he's right now in a big risk of losing all his health care. Bills are coming out like
As
he
is
needs
everybody
them.
else that's in
Right.
that's in that catastrophic fund,
Right.
including my sister. Yes.
Like these,
I agree
these
with you.
people do need help.
Yes.
And ESPN, for as big of a platform as you had, I really think you fucked him over by not. If you're going to end it with that, at least end it with the information so people can help him out
So people can
or
help,
get involved
right.
in the organizations or
get involved,
whatever.
Get involved in kind of pushing the agenda
Right.
of helping these people out.
Like, yes, you're touching on it and you're touching on it for entertainment, and I'm perfectly fine with that as long as you use it for good. You just used it for entertainment, and
nothing.
quite honestly, even
Yeah.
as a fan of the guy, it's not fucking entertaining. It's
No.
really sad to watch.
Yeah, it was.
No, like-
Dennis, sorry,
Yeah,
Chris,
I
one more
was
second.
actually going to get to what Dennis
oh,
said.
okay, go ahead.
It's,
Go ahead.
Just to the point that I think there should have been more to the story. There is a longer version on ESPN Plus. It's about 40 minutes longer, but even that, I still don't think that's enough time to tell the whole the rest of the story.
There's definitely a lot more to tell,
There
and
is.
I'm hoping that you're correct in
I
the
hope I am
fact
too.
that they can tell a follow up to this,
Right.
Because Unrivaled is kind of a series. They've done other Unrivaleds, right? There's been other ones,
yeah.
So, I'm hoping they come out with an Unrivaled Wings versus Avs,
Right.
second part, or finish off the
Kind of like what I said before the show, like how Miami did the U and then the
Right.
U part
Yeah.
2, like the rise of Miami
Right.
and then the decline of Miami.
Yep.
I want them to do this part 2, the rivalry, like continued or whatever they want to call it.
To almost double down on what you've been talking about, Chris, this shouldn't have been called Unrivaled. This should have been called March 26, 1997.
Because that's
Yeah.
what it was
And,
focused on.
and that was the focus of it. Now give us the documentary of the rivalry.
right.
Yeah.
Touch on it, but you don't need to put 2 hours into it like you just did. Touch on it. It happened. Go watch that documentary if you want to know more about it. This is the whole rivalry, though.
I still really enjoyed it. Like I said,
No, I did too. I did too.
That's
No,
not
no.
taking anything away from it.
for me, it was really, really good. Would have been great if they'd have expanded it more.
Yeah, so I think there's
And-
more. I think there's more players from both sides that have.
There's
a
more
story to
interviews
tell
that could have
about
been
it. Yeah,
told.
absolutely.
There's
There's-
a 10-hour version of this somewhere in my head.
Maybe
Right.
6. I don't know about 10, but
I
maybe
think
6.
there could have been three 2-hour
Installment. Okay.
installments.
Okay.
And that's
So
what I'm
6,
saying.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I'm
there,
down with that.
there is hours of shit that we could watch with it. 10 was just a number. It was
Right.
an exaggerated number.
No, but there definitely could have been. So that what we watched was 2 hours, but it was
Yeah.
with 2 hours with commercials. I think there could have been three blocks of that 2 hours with commercials, and they would have been able to tell so much more of the rivalry itself. And the first, to me, this was like the first part.
Yep.
Yeah.
It told the first part of it. Then there could have been the middle of it, and then the end of it. You know, and
And how cool would it have been? So Thursday night, and I know that's not the way the schedule laid out. So Thursday night, though, you put Game 5, Avs Lightning. That's your prime time on ESPN game or Channel 7, whatever it was. Friday night, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock ESPN. This goes on. First 2 hours of it. Saturday night, second 2 hours of it. Sunday, last 2 hours
before Game 6.
leads right into Game 6.
I mean,
It works perfectly because it is the Avalanche.
Yep.
If it's any other team that doesn't, Avalanche or Detroit, it's got to be one of the two.
and I would have liked to have seen it be kind of like the Last Dance.
Yeah.
Like
That would have been great.
3 Sundays in a row.
right, or even the Lakers, like the Lakers
Right.
Celtics one.
Yep.
That would have been. They did that in 3 parts.
Like it would have been nice. It would have been great. Still very, very happy with it. It brought me back.
Yeah.
Brought all the feels. Just felt a little bit like I want to leave a documentary of something that I want to relive.
Yeah.
I want to leave that documentary not wanting more.
Yep.
I want to be fulfilled with all the. I've gotten all the information I could have gotten about that. I feel like I know everything there is to know about it, and instead I left this one still wanting more.
Oh, absolutely, because there was more to tell.
Exactly.
And it's a lot of stuff that was left out, which is disappointing. But again, hopefully they're smart and they say let's do a second part to this, which I really hope they do. I doubt they will, but I really hope they do.
It's going to ultimately depend on what the numbers were.
Yeah.
If the numbers were great, they'll tackle hockey left and right.
Like you saw the numbers this year just for the NHL in general, with it being back on ESPN and on TNT. The numbers went up significantly this year.
And ESPN, there's 2 people I wanted to come in today and acknowledge. We talked about one of them earlier in the playoffs, and that was Kenny Holland. And I just want to give him his flowers on the fact that he put together a good team. Is it all him? No, but they did their thing. The other person that, needs to be acknowledged in all of this, and I'm totally losing my train of thought right now. That's pissing me off. I can't think of who the other person was. I was literally just right there.
Did me coughing throw you off?
I don't know what threw me off.
Okay,
Yeah, I really wish I had it, and I just totally fucking lost it mid-sentence.
It's all good.
it happens. Well, speaking of like the Stanley Cup playoffs, which we kind of started with, that like led into this whole unrivaled thing. Just some of the injuries that this is just from the Tampa players that I've seen.
It's my favorite
Like,
part of the whole playoffs.
Obviously, Braden Point, he barely played in the finals because he had a significant quad tear in Game 7 against the Leafs in the first round. Anthony Cirelli suffered an AC joint sprain. So he's playing and if you've ever had an AC joint sprain, that shit hurts. I've had that to my shoulder. It hurts really bad. Ryan McDonough had a mangled finger blocking a shot. Belmar battled through a meniscus injury.
What was Braden Points? I saw it, but I don't remember what it was.
Quad tear. A
Quad
significant
yeah,
quad
just
tear, yeah.
completely tore his quad.
Nick Paul had both an AC joint and an MCL sprain. Brandon Hagel played through a foot fracture. Corey Perry suffered an AC joint sprain. Corey Perry can just be fired into the fucking sun for all I care. And Kucherov, he played with an injured meniscus.
You want to talk about a goon? Corey Perry is today, I get it. Yes, Marchand is too. Everybody who is sitting at home right now screaming at their screen. I get it. Yes, Marchand too. But Corey Perry is by far the biggest scumbag playing this game right now.
Yeah. When you're like leaning on a dude's head when he's on the ice, like, come on, dude.
His head.
What the fuck is wrong with
he
you?
damn near put the blade of his skate in the back of a guy's leg.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that guy. And the fact that he's lost 3 Stanley Cups is fucking amazing to me. I love that stat.
The thing I was going to say came back around to me. The other person I wanted to give credit, and it's not really a person, is ESPN. ESPN knocked it out of the park this year.
I thought both networks did great.
Yeah, TBS especially.
TNT. I thought
Or
TNT, Turner, whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it. I loved what they did because they kept it simple. They
Yep.
said, we're going to take the NBA's formula and we're going to replicate it with the NHL.
Yep.
And it worked fucking great.
And from what it sounds like is they listened to Gretzky.
Yeah.
Gretzky was like, go get Biz. And they're like, who the fuck is Biz? And then they go get him. And
That's
quite
your Barkley.
honestly,
That's your Barkley.
Yep.
100% that's your Barkley. And he can go back and forth with Tocchet. He can go back and forth with Anson Carter, whoever else is on the panel.
And really, other than the fact that I'm quite positive that Chelios and Messier were drinking before every single show.
Probably. Oh, you know Chelios was.
You're right. Other than that little part, I thought ESPN knocked it out of the park too.
Yeah, I thought both networks covered the NHL. Honestly, better than NBC ever did.
I have a lot of. I would argue they did it better than Fox did.
Oh, I think Eddie.
So
Fox
Dennis
was a disaster.
Dennis says once they demoted Leah Hextall, they did well.
She was terrible.
She was bad.
And not just because she's a chick. That's not what I'm saying here. She was legitimately bad.
Yeah.
Like as like the on ice reporter or sideline or whatever you want to call her, she was fine doing that. She was, but like her actually calling the game was bad.
It was awkward.
It was
Like I don't want to be sitting there watching hockey or any sport for that fact, and feel awkward by the call.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like it's just
I can't listen to
when
this.
you're sitting there watching the game and you're like, ugh.
Yeah, it was not good.
I don't feel good right now.
I didn't get to watch much of it because I was working a lot at that point.
Yeah.
But the few games I caught
It was
were
not good.
and I couldn't. A lot of times when I was at work, I would just throw a headphone in and listen to what was ever on. I couldn't do that with her. Like she didn't. Even Joe Buck, for as much as we bitch about him, he does paint a decent picture.
He does.
I think Joe Buck at this point gets hated on too much.
I think I think it's
agree.
overplayed at this point.
Yeah.
I really do. Well, my last point about the Stanley Cup final is Nazem Kadri. Dude, shut the fuck up.
I knew this was coming.
Shut your fucking mouth.
I did too.
I'm gonna
And
turn
Frank,
your
to your point, I don't care if it was a minute after the game. I don't care if it was an hour after the game. Shut your fucking mouth. You're talking about all the haters because you were a liability in the playoffs. You were a fucking liability in the playoffs, you fucking asshole. You got bounced out of 2 fucking playoff series because you were a fucking idiot. You were a fucking liability. Fuck you.
Bing bong.
That's all I gotta say about that.
The only argument I have is the entire Leafs team's liability in the playoffs.
Fair enough. But him, an important player doing stupid fucking shit and getting himself fucking suspended doesn't fucking help matters.
That's where you go. That's where you went with that.
I'm trying to get this to continue.
That's where you went with that. Do you want him to tear the whole studio apart?
Go for it.
Nice.
Hand me
You got the Lions one right
hand me
there.
the Lions one. We'll get them all riled up.
This doesn't work though because it covers the ear on the far side.
Oh my god. But yeah, that's all I gotta say about that fucking guy.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna go into that conversation.
You can't let that shit happen. You can't. Yes. Bing bong.
Bing bong.
Exactly.
As a Leafs fan, you've earned the right to say that.
And it's not even just if he had played for any team and he says that shit, I would have called him out for it. Because
I do agree with that.
it's like, come on, dude, you literally were a liability.
But specifically, you being a Leafs fan, I'm gonna let you just have it. I'm not gonna argue it with you.
You've earned that because Kadri was.
And then I see in like my Leaf fan groups, they're all like, "Oh, we should have kept Kadri." I'm like, "No, we shouldn't have kept Kadri." Simply because this is what a change of scenery does. It happens. Like he wasn't going to be the player in Colorado or in Toronto that he was in Colorado.
No.
He wasn't going to be the same player.
But
He just wasn't.
Let's also just acknowledge the facts. He grew up, he matured, and he realized he was a fucking liability in the playoffs, and he was a huge part of the reason why the Leafs were getting dipped out early, and he had to change that shit around.
But that's why when we talked about it earlier in the week, I said just be humble about it. He's like I learned, I grew up, I screwed my team over. I did, but I've learned, and it's gotten me to this point, and I'm truly thankful for that. But instead, no, I'm going to be an asshole about it and say, tell my haters to kiss my ass. Fuck you, Nazem Kadri. Yeah.
And all the haters can kiss my ass too. I don't know.
I don't know where
You know who you shouldn't tell to kiss your ass?
That'd be one Jason Stiltner. If you're a homeowner or looking to be a first-time home buyer, give Jason Stiltner, Senior Loan Officer at Flagstar Bank, a call today at 248-752-3631. Jason has great mortgage programs for first-time home buyers, including down payment assistance options and excellent interest rates. Again, give my guy Jason Stiltner from Flagstar Bank a call today at 248-752-3631 and get the excellent service you deserve. Flagstar Bank, equal housing lender, member FDIC, NMLS number 27546. That might be my best read ever. Thank you.
There was one part where Joe's laughing I thought was going to crack you, but other than that, it was a very good read.
So
I was too busy laughing at the lead to it. Yes. It was just so dumb.
So we talked about how not Fox, but ESPN and Turner handled hockey this year. So the MLB has decided to
Turn to the dark side.
make a deal with Apple and Apple Plus, whatever. And so I decided to watch one of these broadcasts because the Tigers were playing the Diamondbacks
And they have Katie Nolan on.
this past weekend, and I like Katie Nolan. She's funny. She knows her shit. And so I watched.
I like
the game.
Katie Nolan too.
Fair enough. So they had Katie Nolan and Hunter Pence in the booth, and I forgot the dude who was actually calling the game, but
He doesn't matter anyways.
right. So I'm like, all right, it should be cool. This should be good, give and take back and forth between especially Hunter Pence and Katie Nolan. This is one of the worst broadcasts I've ever heard in my fucking life. It was cringeworthy. It was that bad,
huh?
It was incredibly bad. It was awkward.
Didn't she rethink it after the game? Wasn't she like, I don't know if I can do this, or I don't know.
I don't know, but
I had heard something along
they
those lines.
need to fix that shit. It's bad. It's really bad.
I heard her questioning. I don't know exactly. I don't know, Frank, if you can look it up or
Yeah,
not. But
I'm gonna see if I can pull it up.
I thought I heard the fact that she questioned her own game call and was like, I got it. I was in my own head. I don't know what I was doing.
Well, she needs to fix that shit because it's bad. And then this weekend on Peacock, which the MLB has decided to hook up with Peacock as well.
Peacock.
So it's going to be a game between the Tigers and the Royals, and they're literally going to have no announcers at all. None.
And I want you to genuinely watch some of that, and I want you to report back to us next show and tell us which one was worse. No voice at all, or Katie Nolan, Hunter Pence, and some shithead.
I'll tell you one thing. Both of them are better than listening to Matt Shepard and fucking Kirk Gibson call a game. I'll tell you that right fucking now.
Wow.
That booth of Kirk Gibson and Matt Shepard is
He's
the
not
worst.
wrong.
It's the worst in baseball.
He's not wrong.
It's not good.
It's the worst in baseball.
Well, see, and I don't mind Matt Shepard. I don't think he's
Any
bad.
other sport he does. I
don't mind Matt Shepard, and I really don't. I haven't listened to a lot of him with the Tigers, but I can tell you who I don't like, and I don't like Kirk Gibson. And part of it is I just don't like the guy.
Fair.
And I don't like him calling the games. To me, he's not good at all. I think Shep could be good with somebody else. I think they've paired him up with somebody who just drags him down. I don't enjoy.
But even when he's with Dan Petrie or Jack Morris, he's still
he's
you
not
just
like
good.
him. No.
I think this is again the naiveness of the organization saying that Jack Morris, it's a huge name, let's put him in the booth.
Now, Jack Morris is better than Kirk Gibson. He's not great,
Right.
but he's still better. He is better than Kirk Gibson.
But you put
but at least
Morris,
Kirk-
you put Gibson, you put those guys in there.
At least Kirk Gibson hasn't said anything racist.
That we know.
I mean, he's definitely said some really bad things over the years, but at least since he's been calling the Tigers, he hasn't said anything racist.
But it just listening to that when they have Dan Petrie in there with Shepard, Dan Petrie's good. He gets to the point.
Yeah.
Craig Monroe's another one. He's not great as well. He's not great either.
Well, let's face it, Craig Monroe isn't very good at the before game and after game stuff either. He's just not good on the microphone, but
And I told him
he's Craig Monroe.
we
He
met-
was
I
a
mean,
fan favorite.
Exactly. I mean, it's just one of those things where you're like,
When he
all right.
leaves, we'll get Donnie Kelly. The same job.
I remember one of the nights I met him at the bar and we were talking. We were talking about him being in the booth and stuff like that. I said to him, I was like, dude, you got to slow down. He goes, what do you mean? I go, it looks like when you're talking, on camera.
Yeah.
It's just like it looks like your brain's racing, and you're trying to get everything out, but
you stumble over your words.
You stumble over your words like constantly.
Yep.
I'm like, you got to slow down, man.
Yep.
And he's like, oh, it's different. And I'm like, I mean, hopefully you'll be all right, but clearly he hasn't taken that into account.
No, his mind definitely goes faster than
Yeah.
his mouth can move,
Right.
and he stumbles over his words a lot. And again, he's one of those guys that you don't. If you go into it knowing what to expect, it's Craig Monroe, and you're like, all right, well, it's SEMO. We're gonna get
Here come
what's-
the Tigers.
Yeah, we're gonna get SEMO.
Right.
That's what you get. I mean, that's
You're going to get a whole lot of 06 references and not much else.
And like listening to because Alex Avila was doing the radio with Dickerson.
Yeah.
I think he's doing it. He did it against Arizona, and then he's doing it with the Giants this coming series. He's actually really good.
Young
Yeah.
Alex?
Yeah.
Really?
yeah.
Yes. Unlike his fucking piece of shit father, he's actually good.
Well, who knows? Maybe his father should get into calling games too, because he's not very good.
I was going to say, we don't know how his dad
That's
is at
another
calling
guy like
games.
Nazem Kadri. Fuck that guy.
He's not very good at putting together a team, but maybe he's good at calling games. Maybe they should have him be the play-by-play.
We laid it out. A friend of mine put on Facebook. He puts polls every Friday, and he asks who's the best GMs in Detroit sports.
He puts a lot of polls on Facebook. Huh?
Yeah, polls. So it's who's the best GM in Detroit sports. So obviously it's the day after the draft. Weaver gets number one for what he did at the draft. Of course, he's getting number one. And then you've got 2 and 3. People are arguing back and forth between Yzerman and Holmes, whatever. 4 is the GM of the Grand Rapids Drive.
Nice.
I love it.
That's great.
5 was a 4-way tie between all the U.S. PBL GMs over at Jimmy John's Field.
Oh yeah, I like that.
And then I think Avila was like 1 or 2 spots under that.
Awesome.
Which is pretty accurate, actually.
I would have to agree with that. It's just, I can't.
It's pretty accurate.
Yeah, whatever.
I would put the GM of a high school hockey team over. him.
So moving from one GM to another.
Yeah.
Because we've talked about how bad Avila's been, and he's just like seriously, we can't beat a dead horse. He needs to be fired.
Yes, he does.
That's just plain and simple. You're in year 7 of a rebuild, and you
Which
claim
you weren't supposed to be rebuilding.
well, you claim
It
the
was
rebuild.
done.
You claim it's done. You claim the rebuild's over with, and it's clearly if the rebuild is done, you failed completely.
And it's one of those weird situations that I look at and go, you lose nothing by allowing him to finish the season in that position. But it's a huge crime if you let him finish the season in that position.
You do lose something. You don't want him to draft again.
I don't want him to make these trades.
You don't
At the
want him to
trade
make
No,
deadline.
trades
the
at the
trade
deadline.
deadline does scare
Like,
me.
Those
The trade
two
deadline
things
does scare me.
alone make me just get rid of him. Put anybody in there, and like seriously, anybody.
The draft shouldn't be a problem because they're probably going to be drafting right at the top.
Well,
I think they got 12.
12? I believe so. Fuck.
but yeah. So moving from one GM to another, there was the NBA draft this
Yes.
last week.
Yeah.
And we don't talk a lot about the NBA, but you're wearing a Pistons shirt today. There was
For
the
good
NBA
reason.
draft. I think we should talk a little bit about it. I think we all
do.
three have some thoughts on it. And I don't know, one of you guys can fire off here.
I love what they did.
Yep.
I absolutely like the night before they traded Jeremy Grant, and we saw what they got back for him, and it was kind of like, okay, whatever. Like it wasn't like a lot, but I'm like,
But when that
relax.
happened,
I'm
what you kind of the trade itself, right, set up for.
Yeah.
It was that's a good first move.
Right.
What's the
Exactly.
next
And it was like,
move?
let me wait on it because I saw people just like hammering it. Like, this is all we got back. I'm like, relax.
Wait.
Let's see what he
Wait.
does tomorrow night.
In the words of Aaron Rodgers, RELAX, relax.
This is one GM I actually have faith in. Like,
Mm-hmm.
calm down. Let's see what he does at the draft.
Listen, this guy has a plan.
Yes.
He has produced as a GM as far as making moves. This guy can make moves
Yes.
with the best of them. And he's proved it.
Like a lot of those picks that OKC has, that was him.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I the guy's like, just calm down, relax.
I
Wait till the draft, see what he does.
Yep.
And then you know what? He did what he does.
He wheeling and dealing.
Wheeling and dealing, man.
Like to me,
you basically ended up with two lottery picks.
Well,
Well,
he did end up with two lottery picks.
He did end up with 2 lottery picks, and then the guy they got in the second, by all accounts, is a very, very good player. And you look at it, and this isn't just locally. He's being touted as having the best draft in this draft.
CBS gave him
nationally,
A+.
nationally,
A+ on both first
Yeah.
round picks.
So I mean, this was a great draft for them. So they got a guy that's going to pair well with Cade Cunningham.
Yeah.
And if he does live up to what he should, that ceiling, that's your backcourt.
Yeah.
Like that's
Well, so you got Cade, who's very
And if Cade doesn't pan out to be as great, still on track to be a very good
he's
player.
trending
But if
in that
he
direction,
doesn't end up being as great as the potential is, you still have dominance in numbers back there. You have two really good players.
like this is a lot of these teams that win. Like you look at their backcourt, like they have two guards that are
Yep.
like studs, and it's like okay, cool,
But you even go back to 04.
yeah,
Chauncey and Rip.
there you go.
I understand that Chauncey got the glory, but Rip was the better shooter, in my opinion.
Yes,
Well, you got so in Cade Cunningham, right? You have a guy that he's pretty methodical. He's very skilled at like everything. I mean, he's a very overall skilled player. He's the ball handler.
Yep.
He's going to be the distributor, and he also can shoot. But then in Jaden Ivey, you got a guy that's very dynamic and very very fast, very quick,
Athletic.
very athletic. And he's going to bring a lot of flashiness. He's going to open up lanes for other players, including Cade. I think it's going to be a great 1-2 there for them. I think
And then putting that center in there.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, I was
Yeah.
watching.
Yeah,
I was
Jalen
watching.
Green.
Yeah, I couldn't remember his name, but I was watching highlights of the kid. You're not going to have the Splash Brothers, but you have one who, from all the highlights, looks just as good as either one of them were.
right.
So
And now what you did obviously at the draft, but now you have a ton of cap space too. And that was one of the. That's what I was like with the Jimmy Grant trade. I'm like, sweet, you just created a whole bunch of cap room. Dope.
I look at Jeremy Grant though, and one of the reasons I don't understand why people were shitting on that trade, because you got a first round pick for a guy that plays a lot of minutes for you. I'm not saying he's not good, because he is a very good player. But is he going to be as good as he was for you for somebody else? I don't see that happening, because he's playing the minutes here. It's going to be, just to compare it to hockey, it's going to be like Thomas Tatar was, Gustav Nyquist was. You're getting 25 minutes a game, you're going to put up the points. It's just going to happen.
Right.
If you're not getting those minutes, you might not be putting up those points. So with Grant, yeah, the potential is there. But if he doesn't end up being the same guy he was here, you still got a first-round draft pick for him, and then turned it into an even better player.
Well, and so that trade, you know, they traded, they got Kemba Walker in that trade, but they also got the 13th overall pick in Durham. And then they bought out Kemba Walker, who, by all accounts, everyone knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, lady.
Thank you.
Lady friend. But by all accounts, we all knew that was going to happen, right?
Right.
I mean, we knew they were buying out the Kemba Walker contract. And they still have $43 million.
Somewhere between like 43 and 47 or
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah.
somewhere in there to spend on free agency.
I think somebody
here's the thing.
said-
do you do it this year or do you wait?
So
I wait.
if
I
you
wait
can't,
and see what we got with these
if
three.
you can't get one of the stars, which there's only, I think there's only like two guys I would consider stars out there right now.
Who's that?
And there are FAs.
Yeah, so Bridges is really the guy I would kind of go after.
He said they're not giving him the max.
Yeah,
Charlotte already said that they're not giving him the
yeah.
max.
So he'd be the guy I would go after. Honestly, I don't want to see them do the Charlie Villanueva
or Ben Gordon.
and Ben Gordon.
No, please don't do that.
Pair two guys together for
Just
the
because you
price
had
of-
the money, you
Yeah,
had
see,
to spend it.
and that's what I want to avoid. But I think if they were to go after Bridges, that would be one I would really like to see how that would work out for them. Spend the money, give him a max contract, and see how he pairs with. I think he would pair very well with Jaden Ivey, Cade Cunningham, and the young team they have right now. I would love to see how that worked out for them.
I think it'd be
really would.
a formidable lineup, like starting
It-
lineup
it-
anyway.
It would be very, very good. I mean, you're not talking, LeBron in his prime
No.
and paired with Bosch and Dwayne Wade, but you're talking, that's still a couple of young guys that are going to grow into being much, much better players that are already very, very good players, and then Bridges, who has become one of the better NBA players out there right now. So I would love to see that.
I also don't hate the idea, though, of them just sitting on the 3 of these guys right now, taking a year, see what you have, and then dropping a bag on somebody next year.
I'd be fine with that as well because, I mean, Frank, even if you do get Miles Bridges this year, you're not winning anything this year.
No, you're not a championship team regardless of what you do.
Like, you want to make that splash? Go after fucking Kevin Durant. Fuck it.
For real.
Like, why not? Even I think his contract this year is like $47 million or something like that.
And honestly, I wouldn't sign him, but
Like that's crazy to me. But yeah, Frank, I'm kind of with you on this one. I would wait. I would hold off. I mean, if they do end up signing Bridges, fine.
Bridges, we talked about earlier. I'm perfectly fine with Bridges. DeAndre Ayton is the one I would like. I don't know that role necessarily needs to be filled anymore.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, you want to take a run at either one of those guys? I'm not against it. Just
Yeah, I think-
understand that that's not the piece that's going to get you to a championship. You still have work to do for next year.
Well, and I think the 8-1 kind of took a backseat as soon as they
Made
got
that trade.
Yeah,
Oh,
as soon as they made
absolutely,
that trade and got Duran. Is it Duran or Duran?
Duran.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. But
one of them.
as soon as they got Duran at the 13th overall pick, I looked at the 8-1. I was like, well, that's not happening now. In my mind.
Right.
People are taking the easy way out. They're calling the 2 guys that were drafted in the first J&J. So we got Cade and J&J.
Okay. Got it.
So I have no idea how to pronounce the man's last name.
Right.
So there's a couple other guys that, like, I like Zach LaVine. I think he would be a great guy to
There's
to
definite
pair
pieces.
with those 2 guys. Ayton is another one that I don't see it now, and I didn't really like that one to begin with anyway. Everyone's throwing out the name Bradley Beal.
The hell no.
No.
That
No.
dude's not- he's not a winner.
No, he's
Yeah.
not. Well, he's not a winner, and to me, I just don't want. He's 29. He's going to be 30. I just don't see that as something I want on this franchise. I just don't.
The one name I'm glad is gone or is about to be gone is John Wall.
Yeah.
I was very worried that they would try to take a run at somebody.
Well, so another one, Jalen Brunson.
Which the Knicks are going all in on that dude.
Yeah,
That's kind of what I kind of see that happening as well.
So that franchise is going to ruin another player's career.
yeah.
And then you got Colin Sexton. So I mean, there's really no sexy picks out there. I would Miles Bridges for me, and then Zach LaVine. Those are the 2 that I would be happy with those 2. Brunson, if he got the right price, but like you said, New York's going to take a huge run at him. Those 2 guys are the only guys I would really want to spend the money on. I don't want the situation like we talked about where you spend the money, you spend a little bit less on 2 guys. In what NBA have you seen where spending on 2 lesser guys is better than spending on 1 bigger name guy who's better at basketball? You know what I mean? Like, the NBA is not like that. It doesn't work like that.
The other thing I want to see, and they're working on the deal right now, is I want to see what another year with Begley looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Not that he made huge strides in the time he was here, but he looked different. He didn't look like the same player that left was Sacramento or whatever.
I mean, Sacramento will do that to a player, so yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know it's bad when guys in the draft are literally looking at them going, I'm not coming.
Right.
No matter what you do, I'm not coming there.
Not going to be
we'll,
there anyway.
We'll find out soon enough because I think free agency opens on Thursday. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Looking forward to it.
yeah.
It's I'm not a huge NBA fan anymore, but I've kind of gotten into the Pistons again. I want to see how this goes. I want to see how this plays out. I'm into watching a good Pistons team.
Yeah.
I want to see them be good again.
And I think the city's
Those are
ready
fun
for
times.
it.
Yeah.
I think the city's really ready for that.
Well, I think the city's ready for any of the teams to be good.
All right.
Literally any of them.
You know what I'm ready
Yeah,
for?
just a couple more years.
What are you ready for?
You to do a read.
Okay.
You know
Whether
whose
you-
ass you don't have to kiss?
The Joe Wright Group. Whether you're buying or selling your home, now is the time to take advantage of having the expertise of 4 real estate agents for the price of 1 on your side. Make the right move with the right group. The Joe Wright Group. Give Craig Joe Wright, Mike Bush, Shane Wilson, and Alex DeRocher a call today at 248-535-4750 to fulfill all of your real estate needs.
Solid.
There you go.
Nice.
I didn't know if you were going to hit it for yourself or not.
I wasn't going to, but when you said it, I was like, yeah, might as well.
All right, quick on Deshaun. How many games does he get?
He's going to actually, I believe, from what I've heard recently, and I believe it, I think they're going to give him an indefinite suspension, which is the season, and indefinite, which means he can possibly be reinstated next year.
Yeah.
But they leave it open to see how many more cases come out, how this plays out. I believe it's going to be an indefinite suspension, which means all of 2022, and he's going to have to, basically go through a process to be reinstated next season. And the Browns doing Brown stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go into it anymore because I've already gone into it so much. Like I've already said my piece on this.
Oh, you went to a diatribe 2 weeks about it.
All I can do now is when this plays out, I can say, I fucking told you so.
Yes.
Because I fucking told you so.
Frankie?
2 years is what's sticking in my head. It'll be indefinite.
Yeah.
It won't be listed as 2 years, but I think it will be 2 seasons before he plays again. If he plays again.
And he's already set out one.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 12 games. 12 games. I don't know. I don't see him. I know I said like 2 weeks ago, I said I think it's going to be the entire season.
Nope.
But some of the stuff I've read, I don't think it's going to be the entire season. I think it'll be 12 games.
The issue I see with it is as soon as the Texans brought a lawsuit on the whole thing, that's got to play itself out now.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's really going to find out how long he's sitting for until all this shit's over
The
with.
Cleveland Browns traded 3 first-round draft picks and paid $230 million in guaranteed money to have Jacoby Brissett start their 2022 season.
Now I'm going to ask Joe a question. It's a question that I've wanted to ask him the whole time this shit's been going on. And I've been trying to convince myself that his answer isn't going to be what it's going to be. But for the hell of it, I'm going to ask this question, knowing damn well what the answer is. Are you standing by the fact that they will still win a Super Bowl before the Detroit Lions?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we'll be dead before either one of them win a Super Bowl, but still,
Facts.
yes, I'm standing. Listen, when I became a Browns fan, I said they would win a playoff game before the Lions did, and that happened.
Well, our conversation was always
happened.
Super Bowls.
But yes,
So-
I mean, it was both, and the playoff game happened.
There's never a doubt about the playoff game.
But I mean, listen, the Browns hadn't won a playoff game since 92 before that, 94.
What, the Lions?
No, the Browns.
Browns.
Yeah, so it was like 92 or 94, something like that. So, I mean, they had gone a long time without winning one as well. So, I mean, it was definitely in question. But when I jumped on board, it was the 1-15 season. They followed up with an 0-16. And I still said they would win a playoff game and a Super Bowl before the Lions would.
That's
well, they
why
nailed
I
the
said I wanted to
playoff
ask him.
game. Nailed the playoff game. Now I just need him to get the Super Bowl. Now, if Deshaun Watson could come back in a year and play like he did with the Texans, they might be all right. But this whole thing right now just makes it look like Cleveland Browns are like the Lions and the Cleveland Browns are a lot alike. They cannot get out of the way of their own stepping on their own ding ding. Like seriously,
And I hate to lump them in. But the Leafs are in that. The Leafs are in that conversation.
They are in that.
I know.
Agree with that.
I'm just. They all fall into that conversation.
You try to do something, and every time you try to do it, you step on your own ding ding. Like, what are you doing?
Ding ding.
Like, what is?
All the words that could say on this,
Ding ding.
and you say ding ding.
Well, I mean, it's funnier than saying you step on your own dick. But that's what happens. Every time you go to do something, you step on your own dick.
And that's why I said I know what your answer was going to be. I knew what your answer was going to be. I
It's
just
still
had
gonna-
to ask it.
Yeah, it's still going to be yes. Because even though the Browns are the Browns and they do Browns things, I still have faith that the Lions are the Lions and they do Lions things, and there will still be a Cleveland Browns Super Bowl before there will be a Lions one.
And the only thing that I can honestly say that this really proved was that they are stupid. It didn't prove anything outside of that. It's nothing on the team. It's nothing on nobody.
It's one of
They're
those
just
things where
dumb.
they
That's at the end.
they do dumb things.
DUM dumb.
But I can give them the credit because they at least do things. Unlike the Lions, who are a terrible fucking team, and all they do is re-sign their own players.
I mean, I guess if there's one thing you can stand on, it's the fact that they actually went out and tried to do something big. And okay, yeah, I get it.
It blew up in
But
your face.
but at this point in time, it has. I mean, I want to see it play out. But all along, I've been saying this is going to blow up in their face, and it kind of already has. We'll see. There's still people out there saying that I'm wrong, and he's only going to miss 6 games, and they're going to still make the playoffs this year. And okay, that's fine. You believe what you believe, and I'll believe what I believe. There's also those same people out there saying, well, if they suspend him for the full season, the NFL Players Association is going to go after Robert Kraft. Well, and you dum-dums out there who want to relate those two, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again, and I'm just going to call y'all fucking idiots one more time. You can't relate Robert Kraft to Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson has 26 women accusing him of sexual assault.
Oh, we got 2 more?
It was 26 cases.
Oh, I was going to say last I saw it was 24.
Well, there was 24 total, but 2 of them, there was 26, and then before 2 of them had fallen off. But there was 2 more recently. It made it 24 active cases.
And then now you settled, all but 4 of them?
They settled 20 of them.
Yeah.
But with the Robert Kraft thing, Robert Kraft was never accused of sexual assault.
He just got a squeezer.
He essentially got a prostitute is what he did.
He got a happy ending.
He was a John.
People get it all the time.
He was a John. He wasn't a sexual predator.
Right.
Like there's 2 different fucking things there.
There's some young girls that he had.
Was he
Technically, no.
Was he ever accused of assault?
Technically, no.
I'm just saying those you can't compare those two.
Right.
I
agree with that.
Those are not comparable situations. And people who want to defend Deshaun Watson, basically diehard Browns fans right now, because you wouldn't be defending him if he didn't sign with your team. Okay, so the fact that he got traded,
shitting on him just like the rest of the NFL is.
You'd be shitting on him just like you did Ben Roethlisberger for fucking 20 years. You're calling him a rapist when his cases got thrown out too, and there was only 2 of them. So enjoy your 24 cases against your quarterback that you're trying to defend nonstop. And you're trying to say Robert Kraft was just as bad when all he was a John and got a beeger from a prostitute that he paid. He didn't have sexual assault cases brought against him by 20-some women. Not the same thing, guys. Sorry, it's not. You can try to compare it. You can try to make yourself feel better, but that's not the case.
I think you need a beer, buddy.
I think I do too. You ready for timeout?
Yeah.
All right, motherfuckers, let's take a timeout and taste this.
I just got to see the name of that. That's an impressive name.
Right?
And
so today we are doing Bean Flicker Coffee Blonde Ale from Odd Side.
I've actually had this before.
Yes.
It's
been a minute.
You're an old bean flicker, are you?
This is yes, I am. We had this on tap at one of the bars I worked at.
You don't need,
It was a popular one.
pass that one to Joe. Don't fill it all the way up for me because I'm not going to drink all that.
Okay.
Let's be careful with this as well, because we always talk about how this is probably not a smart idea. No.
Perfect.
And this timeout to taste this is brought to you by Timeout with Steven Scott, presented by Baldman Entertainment.
The first thing I smell is the hops.
It's very hoppy.
Which is my least favorite part of beer.
Right.
Ready? Go.
Cheers.
Oh.
Okay.
Taste the coffee.
You definitely taste the coffee. To me, it's a very strong coffee taste.
I taste almost a little chocolate.
Slightly. I think sometimes coffee taste can come across as chocolatey. I actually really like that.
I'm not a huge fan of blonde ales.
Yeah.
But that I actually really like. And I don't like coffee either.
I almost want another one. Not gonna lie. I kind of want another one. That was pretty good.
And I don't like coffee, but I like beer that tastes like coffee.
That is remarkably fucking yummy.
For all you 90s babies who remember commercials from back then, if you're looking for beer that's not going to give you bitter beer face, this is not the beer for you.
Bitter beer face. I totally forgot about that.
No penguins come with this beer, and it will give you bitter beer face.
Yeah, that's not bad.
No, I enjoy that. That is very, very good.
I'd give that like a 3.9.
I'm gonna give it a 4.2.
Okay.
It's not overpowering in any way, but it's just got the right amount of flavor for me.
Yep.
Like nothing is overpowering, which is what I don't like about a beer, right? I want it to be smooth, no matter what the flavor is. I don't want to have an overwhelming like punch of that flavor, whether it's hops. Or whatever the flavor's supposed to be.
Right.
Like I don't want the gut punch of
Right.
or the mouth punch of just ooh wow okay. This is a very smooth flavor. I like that very much.
So in 2 weeks, Frank could bring in wine, right?
Yeah, I'm going to bring a wine that
Wine.
I went wine tasting on Saturday.
Frank's getting cultured.
And yeah.
Frank went and got cultured.
This a whole new Frank, guys. He's trying shit now.
He's doing wine tastings and
Frank is getting cultured.
But as far as my judgment call on this one, surprisingly, I like the aftertaste. I don't like the taste of the beer itself.
right.
But I really do enjoy the aftertaste, which normally I hate more than I hate the taste of the beer itself.
See, and I don't like coffee, but I do.
Neither do I.
This is just it's a good flavor. It's so weird. I don't
I'm
like.
a fan of like stouts and porters. And
Yeah,
stuff like that.
same.
So,
Same.
and especially this is like a blonde ale, which I'm not a huge fan of.
Right.
But this is actually quite tasty.
If you had like a Frappuccino or something like that, that's the coffee taste I get from this. I don't
Yeah.
get the overpowering straight black coffee flavor.
It's not overwhelming.
I get a little dumbed down. You can tell it's cut with something.
Right.
But yeah, I don't want to shit on the thing, but I'll give it a 2.5.
Okay.
All right.
Solid.
Yeah. This has been
All right, motherfuckers, let's take a timeout and taste this.
brought to you by Time Out with Steven Scott, presented by Bald Man Entertainment.
Nice.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was pretty good. I enjoyed
That's
that.
definitely one of the better ones we've had.
It is.
Yeah.
It definitely wasn't the worst. It was not that sherbet.
I was gonna say we always torture you with beer, so that's
Right.
Right.
I said, bring some wine in. Bro.
I know.
Bring some wine
Listen,
in.
I'm down for wine because Chris, I didn't know you liked wine,
I
but
love wine. It's delicious.
I enjoy the shit out of some good wine.
It was one of the few questions that I came in here going, I'm going to ask that, and I have no fucking idea what reaction I'm getting. Because, there are times I mention something,
did
and
you-
I get fucking ripped for it.
Did you? Well, yeah.
Quebec, go ahead.
So I was like, I'm going to walk in there, and I'm going to mention wine. And this is either going to be the best thing I could do or the worst thing I could do.
I think he's saying he didn't think we were cultured.
I think it's exactly.
It had
Yeah,
nothing to
he's
do
saying
with the
we-
culture and everything to do with the amount of bullshit I was going to get for mentioning it.
Quebec, go ahead.
Such a fucking asshole.
All right. Anything else, boys?
Yeah, looking at this Tom Selleck pop. Has anybody seen Top Gun yet?
No, I guess.
Yes.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yes.
Does he not look like Rooster?
Yes. Yes. Okay. So while we're on the topic, Chris hasn't seen it, so we're not going to spoil it for him.
Okay, I must disclose something real quick.
What?
I've seen it 5 times.
Okay, I've seen it twice.
Okay.
Seen it twice. I'm trying to figure out a way to describe this. I don't want to ruin anything because I know you really want to see it, and I don't want to ruin it for anybody else who hasn't seen it. But it was so ever since COVID happened. Like you guys know, I'm a movie fanatic, right? I go to movies all the time. Frank, I know you do too. Like we're on that level when it comes to movies,
Why I've been there
right?
5 times.
Right. So. Like when COVID happened, as soon as they reopened movie theaters, I was going back to empty movie theaters just to watch movies because I love the experience of watching a movie in the movie theater.
Right.
That's the experience for me. I don't get the same experience at home because my mind is too on other things at home.
well, yeah.
So like movie theater is an escape for me. This, besides the fact that I saw Spider-Man and I saw, the multiverse with Doctor Strange and some other movies, right? I've enjoyed other movies since COVID happened.
There's been very good movies.
There's been some very good movies. This one right here is the
Doesn't
first.
even compare.
Nope, it's the first one that made me go, God, this is why I fucking go to the movie theater. It really did. Like it gave me goosebumps.
Yep.
It had me on the edge of my
Everything.
seat. It had me like it was the real experience of watching a movie that just absorbs you and just sucks you in, and it's the full experience of a movie at the movie theater. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it really gave me the throwback to being a kid watching a movie in the movie theater again. It was the first one that since COVID that was like, fuck yeah. Nice. This is why I come to the movie theater. This is why.
The first one was my all-time favorite movie.
Love it.
I think this one blew it out of the water.
And you can't say that about sequels
Any
very
sequels.
often. Now, Batman Begins and then The Dark Knight. So that's one of the ones that I can say.
Yeah.
The sequel blew away the first one.
Godfather
right?
2.
Godfather 2. That one, I agree with. I wouldn't say blew it away, but it's definitely better than the first one. So like,
Home Alone 2.
There's very Home Alone.
Don't
Home
get
Alone
me started
3.
on that whole.
Home Alone 3. But like, so there's very few sequels that actually not only compare but excel past the original.
Right.
For me, this one had the best of all worlds. So it was nostalgic. It brought you back to the first one. That song, just that song at the beginning, like it instantly
And
gives
it was
you the
re-recorded.
chills. I know.
That's the best part. They re-recorded it, so
But it was-
it's not redone, so it's good. It's just so clear when you hear the guitar notes.
It's
now.
just so good. And then, so you got the throwback, you got the callback, you got the,
The flying's incredible.
And then the flying is incredible in this one. And then you've got, it ties the old story into the new story. And it doesn't do it just to do it. Like, it wasn't just a story of you tie this one into this one just so you can tie them together and make a movie. It was done so well.
And it drops new characters in there.
Yeah.
And it's, you don't look at it and go, where did they come from? Am I supposed to know?
Yeah.
Like, you just know.
It was one of the, and again, so I've said this to other people, and I'm sure I've said it to you guys. I'm not a Tom Cruise fan as a person.
Can't stand him.
Like, I'm just not. And you know what?
I don't see Tom Cruise in that movie though.
I'll say it to you. I don't say I hate people very often. I hate him as a person. I don't like him as a person. Can't stand him. I'm like you. But when it comes to his movies, he's one of those people that I really don't like, that I will go see every one of his movies because his movies are just so good. And this is one where I didn't care it was Tom Cruise. I didn't care that I didn't like him. This whole movie was done so well from every level of production, from every level of anything you can think of. It was fantastic. If you get a chance to go see it, anybody out there, go see it. You'll thoroughly enjoy it.
There was no Tom Cruise in that movie, as far as I'm concerned. That was Maverick.
That was
That's
Maverick.
It. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't see Tom Cruise.
fair.
I didn't see Miles Teller,
Yep.
and I love Miles Teller. You and I have talked about this for years
Yep.
with Miles Teller.
Yep.
I think he's hilarious. I think that kid's going to be the next big thing, and he's been working on that title for a few years now.
Yep. He had a few setbacks he needed to work through.
Val Kilmer. I didn't see Val Kilmer, and it was hard to watch him at points. But I still looked at it and said, "That's Iceman."
That's Iceman. Yeah. Yep. It was very, very good. And you can rest assured that when you do go see it,
I definitely plan on seeing it.
you're definitely going to enjoy it because
Yeah,
I know
no doubt.
I know we talked about you're not a big movie person, but that was one that you were really
Oh,
looking
that's
forward
one I
to.
definitely wanted to see, for
Yeah.
sure.
So you will thoroughly enjoy it.
When I get a chance to see it, I'll actually go see it.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have a show next Tuesday, so go see it next Tuesday.
Yeah, I might do that. I might do it this weekend. Who knows?
There's very few movies that have come out that I'm like, you need to drop what you're doing and go watch that. That's number one on my list.
That's a perfect way to put it too. Is all the superhero movies and everything. I see them all.
They're good.
But they're good. They got good CGI and graphics and they're put together well. And we're big kids basically,
Yeah.
so we can watch them. But this is the first one that I looked at and I was like, so this is a real true put together movie. Like this is just
And I'm
the
sure-
filming, the editing, the sound. It was just fucking phenomenal.
And I'm sure some of it was video effect.
Some of it
But
was,
when you look
but not
at
a lot of it.
you can't tell exactly what is and isn't like actually going on at that moment in time.
A lot of it was real, true flying.
Yeah,
and that's
I know the
and
flying
you
was
can,
all
and you
real.
can you look at it and you're like, man,
They had
that's just awesome.
They had her. I don't remember her name, but the female pilot. in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
movie, they had her, Cruise, and somebody else on James Corden's show.
Okay.
And they were going through talking about what was real and what was really filmed. And he was talking about how many of those kids passed out trying to film something.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah, I have no doubt.
Like
Just
he
from the-
said, we
just
were
from the
hitting
Gs.
Yeah, we were hitting 9 Gs, 8 Gs consistently. He's like, and these are
crazy.
actors, these aren't pilots.
right. Wow. But yeah, so
Sorry to hijack
no,
the show
you're-
on that one.
Don't,
but
don't worry about it. It's funny we haven't talked about it yet. I mean, it came out a little while ago, and you haven't been on the show. And I actually meant to mention it a couple times. It just never really came up. So, yeah, go see that movie. Anything else, boys?
Got nothing.
No.
Got nothing? All right, give us a like, a share, and a follow on our social media like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube. You can find all of our podcasts on your favorite podcast provider. As always, check out our website, sotdet.com. Click on shop or click on blogs or click on anything on there, preferably shop. Go buy some stuff.
buy red hooded sweatshirts. Red hooded sweatshirt.
Or some T-shirts this time of year, and then buy the red hooded sweatshirts for.
If we won't get banned
winter.
in 7 more countries on YouTube, could you get the red hooded sweatshirt song from Adam Sandler so we could play that every time?
We might get banned from a few more countries for that, but we'll see.
We
might test it out.
From like 6 of them.
Yeah, we might test it out. But again, that's SOTDET.com. I want to thank all of you for listening and or watching. On behalf of Chris and Frank is back. I'm
Frank is
Joe.
back.
I'm Joe. We are Sports on Tap Detroit. See you next Tuesday.
And that is it for us today.
No! God, please, no!
Bye. Have a great time.
No! God!
Bye, guys.
No, 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 no!
Bye, buddy.
No!
Goodbye.
No!
Goodbye.
No!
It's never goodbye.
You know, we've been through our ups and been through our downs.
You were meant to be here tonight.
You guys will always be in my heart.
Great moments are born from great opportunity.
I think the most important part is that we all stay together throughout.
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
Live. Fight like hell. The best thing I have ever done, the best thing I will ever do, is be a dad.
God, I love you guys. Mamba out.